I am happy to join with you today.
Once you change your philosophy, you change your thought pattern.
I love America. I love everybody.
This white here can do more.
You want it to be one way. What is the other way?
Will allow me to retort.
What's good, man? Welcome back to the latest edition of the One Way Podcast. I'm your host, Lorenza. And quite frankly, last night we took an L, but tonight we will bounce back. And I'm referring to my baseball team, who's had more names than practices, but we had our first game last night. We actually lost the game 14-3, and those 3 runs that we did score, we were quite surprised that we actually scored those runs. Our players were really nervous in the first and second innings. It took them a while to realize what they were actually doing, but by the third inning, they really settled into themselves. They settled into their own, and I could see that hands were on knees. People were paying attention to the ball as it came off the bat. Balls were being relayed from the outfield back into the infield. There was a player who made 2 throws to home that probably should have been caught for outs, but we're just learning baseball right now. Our catcher wasn't really prepared. I'll prepare him better in the future. But all in all, success. And I thought I was going into this with this burdensome feeling of I'm not really preparing these kids for baseball properly, but I'm proud of them, and I see where they are, and I definitely see the potential that they have in order to become some pretty decent little baseball players. And for the most part, this is a lot of them's first year. Out of the 13, I think 6 or 7 are about 7 years old. One of them is actually 6 in a 7 and 8 year old league. But you know, we take what we can get, man. He actually showed up and played pretty well himself. But all in all, man, we did take that L, but we're gonna bounce back. The season officially starts on April 16th. Obviously, since we're doing PETA right now, this is part of PETA podcast every day in April. We'll come to you and tell you how that goes exactly. But, you know, I was a little disappointed at first, but that disappointment slowly turned into excitement because I realized that these kids were actually picking up some of the things that I was putting down. And like those kids, I hope you are picking up some of the things that I'm putting down, because last night I talked about baseball night in America. Baseball season has started, obviously. The MLB is playing. I talked about with Shohei Ohtani and a host of other people. But right now, I would definitely like to focus on the Red Sox Yankees game I was talking about yesterday, in which I said you need to look out for Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Hanley Ramirez, and Mookie Betts. First and foremost, by the 7th inning, I think that the first 3 hitters from the Boston Red Sox team were all batting 1,000, which means that every time they were up at the plate, they got a successful hit. They were on base. Hanley Ramirez had a great game, and my boy Mookie Betts, who I talked about at length about the first time I saw him and realized that he was going to be a good player. The homie hit a grand slam last night, man. The Yankees got routed 14-1, and that sort of made it easier for me to accept my loss because the Yankees got blown out like this, and they're the baby bombers at this point, man. So there's a lot to be said for my team. There's a lot to be said for the Yankees, and there's a lot to be said for the future of baseball. And everything is looking bright, man. Shout out to Mookie Betts. Shout out to my team, my players. Shout out to my fellow coaches. And shout out to just America and baseball and apple pie and racism and other things that are very, very American, not to forget football. But that's all I have for you today. Special shout out to the homie, Brian Taylor of the Pass, or podcast about sports and stuff. He's giving me a lot of information about what I can do with this podcast, and look forward to working with him in the future. As a matter of fact, hopefully he'll be a guest, as I will soon be a guest on his show as well, and you get a little more in-depth perspective of basketball and other things, because I like things one way, and that's why I named the podcast One Way. And like, I have my perspective, people have their own, and maybe we'll meet in the middle, maybe we won't, but we're looking forward to all kinds of conversations and collaborations. I've updated a lot, so if you want to reach out to us via text or call the actual show, you can reach out to us on at 706-445-2129. Again, that's 706-445-2129. When we do live shows, you can actually call into the show. When we're just out and about, man, if you just have something that you're thinking about, just send a text. So I'll get the text. I'll read it over the air. I'll talk about any kind of questions that you may or may not have, man. And also you can email us at talk2oneway@gmail.com. That's TALK, the number 2, one way. So talk2oneway@gmail.com. Obviously we can correspond that way as well. Check us out on Spreaker. Check us out on Podomatic. Check us out on iTunes. Check us out on Google Play. From Brian Taylor, I heard about this thing called Discord today, so I'm going to check that out. It may be another way we can use this. This may be another system we can use to get this on a larger platform. We have a pretty strong foundation, and we're only getting better here at the One Way Podcast. But other than that, man, that's all I have, man. And let the music take you out, man. Peace.
We want it to be one way. What is the other way?